Sensitive. Right Side Podcast, Livingston County Republican Party's opportunity for the Republican side of things to come forward. My name is Deb Drick. I'm the chair of Livingston County Republican Party, and I'm so excited to be here tonight. We have a great lineup tonight. With us tonight is Kevin Rinke, and you'll remember Kevin was a gubernatorial candidate before, and he's going to talk about, we're going to have a good discussion about the statewide, the Senate race, the upcoming Senate race, U.S. Senate race, and the upcoming gubernatorial races, and what it might take to win, because it's a little different makeup this year. So we'll have a good discussion about that. We're going to get to hear his history and his thoughts on Michigan and what needs to change, and maybe what things need to happen to keep going. So also following that is another hot stuff, and that's Sharon and Mike Staton are back. Those are our membership co-chairs for the party, and they've got all kinds of. They spent their time in Florida. I don't know if they enjoyed the sun more or enjoyed plans because they came back and wow, we got plans. So they used that time well. So we did that. So yeah, upcoming elections next year are going to be very interesting. We've got the out of the box election, or the candidate Mike Duggan, the mayor of Detroit, is running as an independent, and that is always an interesting. That's going to be an interesting dynamic, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. I was just told, this is like hot off the press for me because it was minutes ago, I learned that Mike Cox jumped into the race for governor. So now we have Eric Nesbitt, who is the Senate Minority Leader. We have Mike Cox, who's the former Attorney General, and he did a very good job as Attorney General. And then we have John James, who's the congressman out of the east side of the state there. So and he had formerly was a gubernatorial candidate too, I believe. So so he was U.S. Senate, I think, in a gubernatorial. Maybe not. I don't remember. But anyway, he was a candidate. He lost a couple, then he won. So, so he's gonna, and all these people have been invited to jump on our podcast. I know we got a confirmation from Mike Rogers, and we got a confirmation from Representative Brian Posthumus, who has a ballot proposal coming up on voting. So we've got some great shows coming, and as you, the viewers, spread the news and talk about all the good stuff that we're doing here, it just expands that. So we're going to go to commercial right now, and we're going to come back, and we're going to have Kevin Rinke here for a discussion. So be right back.
John Adams warned that the Constitution is wholly inadequate without a moral and religious people. As conservatives, we must reclaim the faith that shaped it, rooted in Jesus Christ and the Bible. To help you understand the historic Christianity that our country was founded on, check out theexaltedchrist.com, a resource website proclaiming Christ as King.
Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning is a fantastic new blend of herbs and vegetables made in Livingston County. Add a tablespoon to homemade breads, soups, stews, meat, poultry, vegetables, casseroles, sauces, and more. To order, email Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning at gmail.com or message the Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning Facebook page. It's time to divorce your Marry Me Chicken and take advantage of free delivery in and around Livingston County. Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning, the only seasoning you need.
And we have, as a special guest, as I said earlier, we have Kevin Rinke with us. Welcome, Kevin. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And it's going to be we're going to have a good conversation here about the upcoming statewide politics. So just want to real quickly, let's say, hi, Tracy, how are you? Thanks for joining us. And hi to Debbie too. So appreciate you coming too. So Kevin, start us off by kind of filling everybody in on your history. Tell us like kind of your before you got into politics, what did you do, and then we'll go into maybe jump into the segue of how you got into politics.
For sure, born and raised in Michigan. Our family has been here a long, long time. And we're one of the first franchised GM retailers in the history of General Motors. We were actually business partners with Bill Durant, and we had a livery, and we rented horse-drawn carriages back in the day. There was a trolley that came up Van Dyke.
Oh, yes.
And that was the country at 10 and a half in Van Dyke in the day. And we had a livery right there and an implement store. And people would ride the trolley out and rent horses and buggies. And when horses went away, Bill Duran asked if we'd be interested in selling automobiles. And family got into it. And to this day, the family still represents General Motors.
Ah. So so you had a dealer? You had a dealership or multiple dealerships?
Yeah, one time or another, we've sold every franchise that GM has ever offered, as well as a Toyota franchise.
And your dealership was called?
Rinky Pontiac,
okay.
Rinky Cadillac, Rinky Chevrolet, Rinky Buick,
all right,
Rinky GMC.
All right.
There's a few of them.
Okay, awesome. All right, and so all right, you did that, and then you decided one day after you got bored with cars and decided to jump into a bigger race?
No. Actually, it was a long way away from that. Okay. I'm not a politician at all. I'm a business guy, and if anything, my perspective and my desires are I have family. I have three children, and I have a granddaughter that all live in Michigan, and where the state goes and the opportunities and the environment that the state offers to its citizens was really important for me. And the last time in the previous governor's election, I was lamenting about all these problems. And candidly, my son looked at me and he said, "Dad, fix it." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You fix everything." He goes, "Just go out and fix the state."
And how old was your son when he said that?
He was 23.
Okay, all right.
And that started the conversation.
Sure.
And next thing you know, I ran and obviously finished second to Tudor. But it was interesting. On election day, I polled on the 5 issues that I would have pivoted to. And this is really important for Republicans because we beat Gretchen Whitmer outside of the standard deviation on election day. It wasn't, would you vote for Kevin Rinke?
Right.
It was, would you vote for a Republican that stood for these things? So I think that there's tremendous opportunity for us. And 26, in my view, is critical.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Jennifer Granholm, the lost decade. And whether you like Rick Snyder or not, he inherited a state that was in terrible shape. And when he left, there was a balanced budget. There was a surplus.
Yep.
We had right to work, and the state was starting to heal. Rick wasn't perfect.
Nope.
And no candidate's going to be perfect. But we ended up, obviously, with Gretchen. And you could make a case that the damage done to the state under the 8 years of Gretchen Whitmer is more significant than the lost decade.
Oh, I agree. I was working in the legislature under the Granholm administration and then worked through Governor Snyder's. And you're right, he wasn't perfect, but he was very, very budget minded. And I think it's for anybody who's thinking about running for governor now, it's very important that they get into the finances, they get into the budget, and they get behind the budget. They get to the public budget and then what's going on really, because people don't realize how bad things were when Rick Snyder came. They just saw the front budget numbers. Right. They didn't see how she had robbed NIPSERs all that retirement money to put into the
Yes.
general fund so she could pay for other stuff. So it looked like, okay, we lost the money, but she didn't realize how many, people don't realize how many holes she created that then Snyder came in, and Snyder, who knows budgets really well, looked through that and went, holy cow. So we've got these deficits that have to be filled. And so I worked at a lot of those reforms that fix that. So you're right. You're exactly right. So somebody getting in there needs to get into those budgets the way he did, and then tell people beforehand how bad it is.
Right. Well, Rick was a CPA.
Yep.
And he did what CPAs do.
Yep.
And maybe to coin a phrase, Rick was the start of Doge in Michigan.
I agree. He did it
Yeah.
well. Yes and no. He
Not
stopped the
everywhere.
budget. He stopped the
Yes.
budget, but he didn't get into the departments, which I
Correct.
would have liked. But okay, so that's step one. So hopefully the next governor knows to do those both.
Well, you look at the budget, and under Gretchen, the cost of government is almost grown 100% in 8 years. And the long-term liability costs are another $20 billion, because the federal funding that's going to come in only pays for a third of the jobs that the funds have been allocated to. And who's going to be responsible for that additional $20 billion of expense? You are.
Oh, exactly.
I am. Our children are, and our grandkids are. And Michigan's not a state that can afford to push these types of deficits and this type of spending down the road. There's a day of reckoning, and we were talking before the show, and I said, if the state doesn't elect really thoughtful representation in 2026, the state may never recover. And I say this because here's some demographics that people need to understand. The fastest growing group demographically in the state of Michigan are people 65 years and older. That's our number one growing demographic group. Our children, with record funding for public education, rank 47th in reading, rank in the bottom 10% in math. We have basically a generation of illiterate kids that, if in fact there aren't opportunities in Michigan for them, they will become wards of this state. And not because that's what they want to be, but because that's what is going to be left for them. Recent data just came out that showed that under Gretchen Whitmer, we ranked 39th for the largest loss of manufacturing of the 50 states. 39. And what was interesting, between 39 and 50, 10 of the 11 states are run by Democrats. And what does that say? It says that big government, anti-business taxation, and poor education all go hand in hand. And Michigan's got some troubles. And I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm not attacking anything. We're speaking facts.
Right.
And they need to be fixed. And that's going to take real leadership. I happen to believe it's going to take an outsider and someone who isn't looking for a job, who's not a career politician, who's got a lot of business experience and a lot of friends in the business environment, both within the state and outside of the state, that can help make Michigan what it should be. And make no bones about it. Think, not too long ago, in many of our lifetimes, Detroit was the third largest city in America. 3.2 million citizens. But you know what else was fabulous about it? Detroit was one of the 5 wealthiest cities in America. You know what it is today?
No, it's way down the list.
48 in income. There's 580,000 residents. And they had to use illegal immigrants to say that Detroit experienced growth. And people really get angry when we say Detroit hasn't rebounded.
That's 200,000 less than when I was working with the Snyder administration to arrange things in Detroit.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's in 2012.
The Illiches have done some wonderful things.
Mhm.
Dan Gilbert have done some wonderful things. Ambassador Rakolta has been a genuinely good advocate for Detroit.
Mhm.
But to say that Detroit's recovered when it's 2.7 million people down in one of the poorest states in America, I believe is disingenuous. And we're going to talk a little bit about a candidate from Detroit who calls himself an independent, Mike Duggan. And he can call himself a cat, I guess. But he's not a cat and he's not an independent. Mike Duggan comes out of the Kelly regime,
Okay.
which was one of the most liberal democratic powerhouses in America.
Mhm.
He was trained by him. Mike Duggan brought us Jennifer Granholm. Go back and check it out.
Okay.
Mike Duggan brought us Gretchen Whitmer. And because the party wasn't going to support him this go round, suddenly he's an independent and he's attracting some pretty serious interest from Republicans
Mhm.
who
Well-
say, well, look at the great job that he did for Detroit.
That's huge right there, and I don't think people understand how much of what happened, because he came in kind of with Rick Snyder, but it was Governor Snyder that
Set the tone.
he got the EFM. The first thing he did when he got in was get that EFM law passed, where the
Right.
state could put a EFM in,
Emergency
and then emergency
financial
financial manager, and he went through. And he came back with a report said there's no way Detroit can meet its obligations on the tax base. So they had to file bankruptcy. And I remember everyone thought that was the end of the world. Not true. It was the smartest thing Detroit could do, because that came in, Governor Snyder came in and made the grand bargain with the retirees that allowed for them to come out of bankruptcy.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened. And I don't believe that was Mayor Duggan that did that.
Well-
and I think that he did a great job for that little downtown area, but I know this. I grew up in Detroit. I drive outside of that little downtown area, and it looks significantly less than or worse than what I remember when I grew up.
I'm just going to project that without Rick Schneider, Mike Duggan wouldn't be considered a successful politician
No,
because Rick set the tone for
he
him.
did.
And the other thing that we got to realize, there are some great people in the city of Detroit,
Oh, there.
and
Agreed.
they are held hostage by what goes on in the city of Detroit. Incredibly high and inappropriate property taxes, very aggressive government repossession and taking of properties, which they then turn around and sell to, like, Blackstone
Right.
to accumulate property.
Right.
And I just don't think that's right. I think that there's a lot of needy people in Detroit,
there are.
and with proper leadership, we can do great things to educate Detroit and the rest of Michigan and get reading literacy up. We can help reestablish what President Trump did in his first term. You know, what many people don't recognize is that African American personal net worth under Joe Biden dropped 40%.
Oh,
40%. And under President Trump in his first term, it was the largest increase
I remember
in
that.
Black America personal net worth in the history of our country. And a strong Detroit, a strong middle class is what Michigan needs. And we're not doing the right things to
No,
address those opportunities.
No, and we have Michelle Blondale who's weighed in here saying that, the heartbeat of America is hanging on by a thread. And Michelle, I agree with you. I know this. Detroit, with all its, back in like 2012 or 13, somewhere in there, I did my own study. I worked with the governor's policy, or not policy, initiative, strategic initiatives director. And he and I put together a presentation for the Senate. And it was about why senators why legislators from outside Detroit should be interested in helping. This is when, if you remember, Governor Snyder led the fight to get in the lighting authority. You got to go through Detroit and there's no streetlights anywhere,
Yeah.
because the money was being spent in bad ways. And same with the school authority. The school authority got asserted in there to keep the school boards from, at the time, from robbing things. So
Even the Flint water crisis.
yes. Well, yes.
Was a byproduct of the city of Detroit under Mike Duggan's leadership turning off fresh water for Flint.
Yeah.
And the Democrats like to point at Rick Snyder.
Sure.
Maybe they should look in the mirror, and maybe they should look at Detroit, albeit Flint wasn't paying their bills. But
Right.
Duggan made that decision.
Right. And but back when I did the study, what we decided was I had to come up with a reason why to entice other senators and legislators to put money into Detroit for a while.
It couldn't have been an easy sell.
It was not. Well, it was once we figured out why. And the key, as I dug around, the key was that the key was that Detroit currently is a I get old and I forget terms. What's the term for, like, a mushroom is one, and things that live off of items that live off of a fungus. Yes, it's a fungus. But there's another word that it's not a fungus. It's another word that, say it like, parasite. That's it. And there's a parasitic relationship with Detroit sucking the needs. I mean, the state's throwing money into Detroit to make up for the stuff, but Detroit. And we're back. It just took a minute. Sorry, every once in a while we get booted out. So thanks for staying with us. Yep, video's breaking up. Thanks, Chris. We got that. Anyway, but we're talking. But Detroit when Detroit is working, when people are working and paying their taxes, Detroit becomes a donor, meaning their taxes now support roads and other places. So it was really to everybody's benefit to make sure Detroit gets up and running. And Governor Snyder did a great job of giving them tools, the lighting authority, the school authority, the other things that he got done over there, the new bridge getting up and running. All those are tools to get Detroit back on its feet, because if you get all those people, if Detroit starts growing again and you get people working and buying homes and buying property, suddenly Detroit then now starts to support the rest of the state, which is really what we need. So that was the selling point, and it worked. I mean, we got all those positive votes, but we haven't seen that since. Now what? We're not getting our comments showing. Barry Altman loved your. Oh, there we go. He loved your idea of the.
Call himself a cat.
Yeah.
I'm laughing too. We
That was a
can't
good one.
forget that when Michigan was great,
No.
Flint was great.
Mhm.
Detroit was great.
Yep.
Grand Rapids was an evolving community and really was a shining star for conservatism. And that has kind of ebbed over a little bit. There's a lot of
Mhm.
purple in Grand Rapids. But every citizen in Michigan needs to recognize the fact that if Detroit is functioning better, if Flint is functioning better, that we all benefit.
Sure.
And I, for one, refuse to give up on them. There's no quit, and no one else should quit on Flint, or no one else should quit on Detroit. There's opportunity. We need to focus on it, and we need to give these people a chance to have the pride of providing for themselves, to have
Right.
the pride of have well-paying jobs and home ownership
Mhm.
and well-educated children that have an opportunity.
Sure.
Because I think the American dream has diminished or been lost in many ways because of how kids are educated and the poverty that many of our major cities have experienced.
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, we all go to Detroit for some reason or another, some event or another, even our convention. We had our state convention.
Wasn't it beautiful? The facility? It was the first time I was
It
there.
was a beautiful facility, but within a few blocks, driving there, just looking at all those burnt out houses and stuff.
It's still rough.
But was awesome. I had a real Coney Island. I haven't had one of those in years. So
Lafayette and American, the two best places in
yeah,
town.
Lafayette was closed. Apparently, they failed some major violations. I hope
They're reopened.
They reopened,
and
now,
I'm happy to say
but
that.
American was open at the time. So, Kelly Powell, welcome to Livingston, Kevin. Unfortunately, I know a good handful of Republicans that are voting for Duggan so far. Kelly, I agree with you. I do too. They are not outside of the bubble of Republicans either. So hopefully, as the 25-26 proceeds, they can decide differently. That is correct. I know them too, and people are. And this is my worry: is that they believe he's an independent. They believe that he fixed Detroit up. They believe these things. So he is going to have. He's sort of got a. It's good. It's up to us. It's up to us as Republicans to get the word out, to get the message out that that's not the case.
Here's an example of how Mike Duggan packages things.
Mm-hmm.
Murders in the city of Detroit are down.
Okay.
And that's great.
Yep, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
Right? And he says murders are down and my policing is effective. What he doesn't say is that Detroit has the 6th highest murder rate in America. Even though they're down.
So that's like saying it wasn't murder. It was just like this is like comparing. Well, we don't have as many crime. We don't have murders. We have it's like armed robbery. We did armed robbery, but it's not murder.
Well, what it means is that we have to be educated.
Yes.
Because this is going to be a very contentious gubernatorial race. It's going to be a very contentious Senate race.
Oh yes.
And the spin factor is going to be like never before.
Oh, I know.
You know, and my dad had a great saying. It's I'm going to use the acronym versus say the words, but he said, if you take all the BS out of the bag,
Mm-hmm.
what do you have
Right,
left?
right.
It's an empty bag.
Agreed.
And I'm just going to tell you that the 26th election is going to have more bags full of
I
BS
know.
than the citizens have seen in a long time.
I know. Rob Rodriguez and Anna Marie Rodriguez, thank you for coming on, and they're excited to hear your thoughts. What do we have here? Duggan is not the choice, in my opinion. Not in mine either, Chris. We are in 100% agreement there. And like I said, it is up to us as Republicans to get this message out. You gave a great speech. I've got lots of experience in that back in those days when he was taking credit for all of the Republicans that did the work, that actually did the work. Yeah, that they went down and helped them. And it's interesting. He takes credit for Jim Craig coming down. Jim Craig did a fantastic job cleaning up the police force and doing a lot of good work down there. But Governor Snyder appointed him. We didn't come from there either.
Don't tell the truth.
I know, I know, but it is. It is up to. It's up to the people that are watching this now, or that are listening to this on, the other channels that are going to be driving to work tomorrow and listen. Which this is our boy. We get I look from 6 in the morning until 9 in the morning. We get this big spike in views. People listen to it on their way to work, which is great. But as you're listening to this, whether it's now or tomorrow or the next day, understand that it is up to us. This is not going to, this little rumor is not going to spread by itself. We have to make sure we do a deliberate messaging package to let people know that Duggan did not fix up Detroit. It is not, that little area downtown got fixed up, but now let's see who's benefiting out of that. Shall we think about that for a second? Who'll be benefiting from that little local downtown area? Well, you got Dan Gilbert from Quicken Loans, you got the Illiches down there. So you got all these families, these wealthy investors that are getting wealthier. But let's go a mile outside, or not even a mile, let's go out several blocks outside of that downtown area and look at the people living there with, in the conditions that we've all seen, and ask them what they think. Ask them how much Mike Duggan has fixed up Detroit from their perspective, right?
Again, I think we can't have facts hurt our feelings. And the people of Detroit are proud people. They're very strong people. They are resilient. And they're proud of the progress that's being made in Detroit. But that doesn't mean Detroit's come back.
Right.
And there's tremendous opportunity. And, as a conservative and as a Republican, we need leaders that want to provide them even more opportunity and more pride, because I believe that the people of Flint and the people of Detroit will embrace that and take advantage of it. And as I said earlier, all of us will benefit from that.
Agreed. We but to do that, we've got to get people in there that are going to do the hard work. Now, we've got some heavy duty Republicans up in the in the wings and waiting in the wings to either they've declared or they're going to declare soon. So this is going to be both, either one. Both.
Okay.
They're both races. We got lots of names in both of them. So, what race you want to talk about first? I'm going to bring up something.
Let's talk about the Senate race.
Okay, let's talk about the Senate race. Hang on a second here. Present. Right here. That's what I want to go to. Hang on. Let me just get this. So we did a nice little presentation here. It's called Stay Thee Not Home, Hold Thy Nose and Vote, which basically means I don't want to hear if you don't like the Republican that won. Get out there and vote for him anyway. There's reasons why. So this is what we feel like most people, this is where most people believe that our state looks like, as far as balance, being a purple state, half Republicans and half Democrats. All right, this is more the actual makeup of our state voters, and generally it looks like this half the time, because that independent base will either go to the right or to the left depending on the candidate. And we've talked about this before. The candidate, depending on the two finalists in the primary, which way that's going to go, it's going to go usually that big independent base. They don't like extreme. So Jocelyn Benson, for example, we said this before, was an extreme candidate. Candidate, yes, but on the other side, on the Republican side, you had a woman claiming that yoga was the work of the devil. So it's really hard to look at those two and claim that Benson was the more extreme one. We knew that. I mean, those of us who've been involved in that, we knew that was going to happen. Christina was way over the top. Would she have been a good Secretary of State? Probably. Which, better than Benson, that's true. But when you can't, doing the job or being able to do the job, and we all know this, being able to do the job is secondary to being able to get elected. And that is what's important. And this independent base here in the center, that's that is where this year is going to be different, because we have especially in the gubernatorial, we have an independent candidate. So it is important that if left unsaid, just as Kelly was talking about, Mike Duggan has got a good shot, because he's going to be believed to be the one that fixed Detroit and perceived as this center guy. So we've got to make sure we make sure we understand that he truly is left, and that's what's going to happen. We're getting there, Chris. We're getting there. Hold on. So so as far as we go to we're going to talk about U.S. Senate, but that's another one that we don't. What do you think? You think anyone's going to try to pull a Duggan and jump in as an independent?
I don't believe that Michigan's ready for a third-party candidate.
That's a no-party candidate.
And if you look at the voting patterns, Democrats traditionally vote over 90% straight party. And that poses a challenge for Mike Duggan, because for him to have an opportunity, they're going to have to break that 90% traditional rule. And to be determined, what Republicans have to fear is Republicans that migrate to Mike Duggan because they have a false image of him. And they make it a three-way race where we elect someone for governor with a 35% vote from the populace. And
I think that there's a real good chance what you just said is going to happen, that unchanged, if we let things go, if nobody says anything, what you just said, there's a good chance a lot of those Republicans are going to believe that. He's more moderate. He's moderate. We'll take moderate. And that's what they're going to think. And I think that even the Democrats, and let me ask you this, I guess I can tell you what I think, but what do you think when it comes down to Jocelyn Benson or Gilchrist and Duggan? You don't think the Dems will break that 90%?
Well, so here's what I think. Mike Duggan is a very savvy political animal. And he avoids all of the primary fighting that the rest of the Democrats are going to have to go through, because he's already on the ballot.
That's right.
He's got his signatures turned in. He's qualified.
Agreed.
And that gives Mike an advantage with the Democrats. Conversely, with the Republicans, if our party is smart, and I'm not sure we are yet.
I know where you're going, and I agree.
Because typical of the Republican Party, we're going to have a whole laundry list of people that are going to run, and
they're going to beat each other up in order.
They're going to beat each other up, and they're not going to be focused on Duggan.
That's right.
And so Republicans will be disgusted by what goes on, and that gives Duggan another opportunity. Now, I don't believe we're going to elect an independent, but nothing's impossible. And anybody who doesn't think that Mike Duggan is a real challenge is just simply not politically savvy.
Agreed. He is going to be, I'm not saying he's unbeatable, but he is going to be I will say this, if we don't get the message about him and his real stuff, they are going to win. He is going to win. Unchecked, unfought, and really the Democrats, if they were smart, if they really do want Gilchrist or they really do want Benson, they'll be doing the same thing. If we're both attacking Detroit and the fact that it's his, not, holy cow. Everybody slow down. I'll get to you in a second. Comments are coming in. So it will, he's going to win if we do nothing. So understand that, people, all you listening, he's going to win if we do nothing. We have to make sure we get that message out.
Here's what I think people need to consider. What makes you qualified? And you said you got to be electable.
Yes.
And I agree that you need to be electable, but we elect a lot of unqualified people who are electable.
Agreed.
And that's why Michigan is a mess. And that's why we have issues at the federal government. So maybe this is just the business guy in me, but I like to break down and say what characteristics fit the job of a senator? What characteristics fit the job of a governor? What characteristics fit the job of a congressman?
Sure.
And do people really understand the roles? And I'm not sure that people do. See, I'm going to start with Congress. You're elected in your district, and you are the representative of the people in your district. And really, your primary function is to do two things. One, bring money to your district,
Mm-hmm.
and two, bring money to your state.
Right.
And that's a very simple view. There's other responsibilities for a
Sure.
congressman,
They have to protect their rights too.
but you
Right.
are representing your district
Agreed.
first, your constituency, and then your state. A senator represents the party. A U.S. senator represents the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. And the view and the responsibilities that fall under that umbrella are dramatically different than a congressman's.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are characteristics that would apply because the party and the country instead of the constituency and the state.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then you have a governor. And in today's world, when you are talking about under the Biden administration, for instance, state government grew at the fastest rate in the history of America.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is a governor needs to understand a budget. He needs to understand employment and appropriate employment. He needs to be able to run a business. And it's entirely possible that you can have a congressman that doesn't have the business acumen to be a governor, but can be a hell of a congressman. It's entirely possible that you can have an ex-senator that did a great job in the Senate and would be lost as a governor. And conversely, the qualifications of a governor may make you frustrated as a congressman
Sure.
or make you frustrated as a senator. And I think the Republicans really need to consider who has the business history or who has the credentials to fill the roles as I described them. Because one thing I do know is my description's accurate. It's larger than what I said, but Senate is the country and the party. Congress is the district and the state, and the governor runs the business of the people.
Okay. Okay. And I hear what you're saying, and we're talking about you're talking about qualifications.
Yep.
What does it take? My statement earlier, and you're looking at a ratio, I guess, of 1-to-1, or you're looking at a fraction of one on top of the other. There's qualified and there's electable.
Yeah,
All right.
I get it.
And my point is that anybody, well, just about anybody can be electable if they know what they're doing or if they know how to make themselves electable.
But they can't do the job. And let's go back to the last governor's race in Michigan. Depending on where you are at with specific issues, you may chop your head off on one issue. And we saw that in Michigan
Mhm,
this last go round.
mhm.
And that was the second largest loss in the history of the Republican Party. People don't realize that. Republicans in this last gubernatorial election experienced the second largest defeat in the history of the Republican Party. And most people thought it all came down to one issue. And
Mhm.
so we put forth a candidate who's a good person,
Right.
who was willing to get into the arena and had zero chance of being elected statewide, and it proved out.
Well, what I guess again, I'm gonna kind of I haven't been able to finish that thought, so let me go through it this time. And it's basically we have electable, we have qualified. We have people that are not qualified go through what they need to do to become electable. What we need is qualified people go through what they need to do to be electable.
What do you
And
think that is?
Oh, there's all kinds of stuff.
Tell me.
I have the Drick election pie. I do a class on this, and
Can I sign up?
You can sign up.
I
I'm
wanna
glad
learn.
to have you. We
Yeah.
have.
I don't know if I'm running, but I want to learn.
All right, we do an electable. And we call it the Drick election pie, and it's basically because I tell everybody right from the beginning, the most qualified candidate isn't always the one that wins. 100% of the time, though, the most electable candidate is the one that wins. And what does that mean? Well, we look at a pie, and we got a bunch of little pie slices, and each pie slices has a thing, and you have endorsements, and you have money, and you have message, and you have well-known name, and you have sign locations, and you have all these different, just a bunch of categories, and each one of them is a pie slice. And my people here that have taken that class will tell you that they stick with that pie. They look at their pie every day, and they won. They didn't just win; they win. They won big. That is electable. That's how to become electable.
I think you're right.
My data says it is.
I think you're right, and I'm just
I
going
need
to say
qualified
this.
people to become electable.
I was just going to say, if we have just electable and not qualified, Michigan isn't going to change.
Right. Agreed.
Even if we get a Republican
right
in the particular seats. So I think that you should host a class for
I do.
all the different candidates, and we'll see who learns
All
what.
right. Well, I put on those classes a couple times a year. I'll make sure you get an invite. I really started these classes because last term I was the elections chair, and we had some openings. We had a bunch of openings on our roster, and I had no candidate. I had no bench. So I thought, well, let me throw in a class on just like, if you're thinking about it, here's the things you need to think about. Maybe I'll get a little bit of a bench. And I was hoping for 10 people, and I got 45 the first class. Second class, another 40. So we were able to fill all our spots, and they all won. The ones that followed the plan won. So it's great. Tracy says she's going to sign up for the class. So that's good. Tracy, I'll let you know when it is. So let me get a couple questions before we go, because people are popping here. So let's see. Here we go. We have Chris that says Duggan's not the choice in his opinion. Let's see. Who looks good? Chris wants to know who looks good so far for governor. Well, who do we have? We have John James right now. We have Eric Nesbitt. We have Mike Cox. And that's who's filed so far. Oh, we've got Anthony Hudson. We've got he's a kind of a little bit of an enigma. He's a regular guy, a trucker, has come out with all kinds of very unique ideas, and I think some of them need a little bit more digging into, and but some of them have some merit to them. So we'll have to see. We're going to get him on our show too, so he can talk about it. But so there's some strong candidates coming from different areas. Then we've got, like I said, Mike Duggan, who's going to be that independent. And I think if everybody targets Duggan, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take the Democrats to target him, and the Republicans as well. So maybe some kind of, Ron wants to know if we work together for the common good, if that works. Well, it might in this case. So let's see. We have Dale says you can't trust a Democrat or a former Democrat. James needs to stay put. All right. Tracy agrees that the infighting is going, and that's going to hurt us. It does all the time. We need to just zip it. Fight the Democrats. Talk about why you're a good candidate. So let's see. Kelly says she can't stress it enough. Also, delegates can't place far right AG and SOS on the ballot. It hurt us in 2022. Amen to that, Kelly. It did. It killed us. So we have to be focused on who we put there. I'll tell you what, if there's a ballot initiative that will help us, is to get the Secretary of State and AG off the delegate voting, and let them do a primary like everybody else.
Even a closed primary would be a great
idea.
Yeah,
I don't know. It is. I just as soon leave it to the people.
No,
in a purple state, we screw up every time in that kind of situation. If we have somebody too far.
Yeah.
Ryan Kelly needs to get in the race, according to Dale. Okay, then we have. Let's see. Here's a question, Ron Gillard. Would you agree with the statement below? Good politicians are able to put aside different partisan differences when necessary and work for the common good. They do not see someone they disagree with as the enemy. What do you think of that?
Well, here's what I think. You don't need to be a Republican or a Democrat to make the right decision. And when you have leaders that don't have a vision for where they're trying to take you and are influenced by outside sources, you allow partisanship to come into play. So good leaders provide where are we going.
Mm-hmm.
They provide how are we going to get there. They provide who do you go to for help. They provide how are you doing along the way, and they provide what's in it for you. And if you see a candidate that articulates not just concepts, but where he wants to take the state, what it looks like after 4 years, or where I said he, where they, because no disrespect,
Right.
where they want to take the state. And then they talk about the issues specifically with solutions and the impact of that. And I think it's really interesting because, again, having just been involved with one race in my life, the last governor's race, I found it fascinating that nobody was articulating policy and how that policy would implement them. And things that I ran on was grade level literacy. We can have the most literate kids in the country in 36 months in Michigan. There's a provider out there that I have worked with in the past and that has worked nationally. We can have 94% literacy in 36 months. And that would be if I ran a policy. If I don't run, I'll give that provider to the candidate that I support.
Okay.
Number two, we should get rid of personal income tax. You know, you watched Mike Duggan. He made a big announcement that he cut property taxes $200 in the city of Detroit. And everybody in the city of Detroit should be happy about that. We get rid of personal income tax. The average refund to the citizens is over $2,300 per taxpayer. That's real money that allows the citizens of Michigan to spend it or save it as they see fit versus government taking it away from them.
Right.
Number three, you know, class warfare doesn't work. We have to have a business-friendly environment, and education is a component of that. Taxation is a component of that, and regulation is a component of it.
Sure. Look at what Rick Snyder had that mentality, and everything boomed under him. And I think if we got somebody that had his skills plus, that would even be better.
Absolutely, there is, and you know, change is going to be difficult, and it's not about the rich getting richer. You know, that's an excuse. That's an emotional thing. Businesses need owners, okay? And those owners need high-functioning employees that are interested in quality. And there is a symbiotic relationship that should tie the two of them together. And when you have an economy that's flourishing, the employees have the right and they have the power to work for good people. Because some bosses are better than others.
Sure.
Absolutely. And they have the right to interact and participate in the decisions with those high functioning bosses. And when you have an economy that's not functioning, you're stuck with any job you can get. And that's when animosity comes up because the employer knows it as well as the employee. And that pride factor goes away. So I just mentioned three things that need to be done within Michigan.
Yep.
And there are very specific steps along the way. I've been talking about those things since the last election, and I'm going to laugh at any of the candidates that try and say it's their idea because I'm on film and I explain what it is and how it works for you.
Right.
And I'm 64 years old, okay? I would be, if I ran for governor and elected, I'd be the oldest governor ever elected. In
No, wait a minute. There's nothing wrong with being 64.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. You know what? And 64 is the new 44, right?
That's right. That's what I said.
Square head, big ears, but still reasonably full. And my point is this. I don't need a resume.
Right.
Okay? I'm not looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to do a job. And I'm waiting to see and measure the candidates that have currently announced and those that may announce,
Mm-hmm.
because I've outlined.
Which way you looking, or both?
What do you mean?
Well, we have Senate, we have governor. Which way
Oh, you know what? I'm no senator.
Okay.
And I'm no congressman.
Okay. All right.
You know, the people that have run for Senate, run for Congress, and now want to run for governor, you know what I call that? A political guy. And they're in it for themselves.
Okay.
And you can take that as a shot, or you can take it as a fact. When you look at it, you know, if you've been an elected politician for multiple years, you're making a career out of politics.
Okay.
And I don't think that's what Michigan needs. I think Michigan needs a change agent.
Okay.
I think America needs a change agent. What does that change agent look like? Again, I've outlined the qualifications as I see them, and I'm certainly interested in hearing from other people what they think.
Sure.
But Michigan, again, could be a lost state. And what I mean by that is, if we don't have educated kids, if we don't have healthy communities, if we don't take a leadership position in our society and our communities and get government out of the way so the people can prosper, we're going to become insignificant. And I'd hate like hell to see that happen to our state.
I agree. All right, our comments are going to be. So Tracy wants to know, how are we going to overcome how Republicans eat their own? That's a good question. I think educating the candidates first that their target cannot, especially this year with Duggan in that middle bracket, that's such a crapshoot right now, that it is, we need to focus our attacks inward and then to the left and not to each other, you know, and I'm hoping, I mean, you know, I can tell you all the classes I want, but, you know, U.S. Senate and gubernatorial races candidates are not going to come to Little Debbie Drick's classes, which is okay with me, but.
Well, I might.
Okay, you can. Yeah, that's right. That's why you're going to win, right? So if you
only if I run.
That's right. If you run. So, but the point is, you know, we gotta get this message out to them as strong as possible. You know, we've got Senator Runstead coming here next month, and maybe that's some of the stuff we need to tell him, that might be his role, right, as far as the Michigan Republican Party, to make sure that the statewide candidates get this message, stay off of each other, start a little campaign, you know, tell us why you're the candidate. I mean, we've had some ugly races in, you know, even in Livingston County. The negative campaigning backfires every time. So, and it hurts everybody. So,
but you know what? It draws attention.
It does.
And the press jumps on it, and
then sinks you.
You know, here's what I'll tell you. It's very interesting to watch, because the press in Michigan does not give coverage to the candidates on the Republican side that can win unless they are forced to give them coverage.
That's true.
They ignore those candidates and they focus on the ones who can't win, because it plays into the Democratic Party.
Sure.
And, you know, there's a lot of good people that well, actually, I'm not sure they're great. But you could certainly say that certain writers in Michigan appear to be pawns for the Democratic Party.
You think?
And, well, we know.
Well, that's the reason this podcast.
And Craig, I'm not throwing rocks at you, Craig, but I'm throwing rocks at you, Craig.
I know,
Craig knows who I'm talking about.
I know that. That's okay. We don't know Craig.
Yeah.
We're not throwing rocks at anybody on the show.
No.
Okay, but on the other hand, we have Barry here, who thinks you're clearly the strongest, most qualified candidate for governor. That's good. Now,
Thank you, Barry. That's very kind.
But qualified's half the battle, isn't it? We got to make you electable. That's right. Now, on the other hand, Chris wants to know where Ryan Kelly is. Ryan Kelly, I'll tell you exactly where Ryan Kelly is. Ryan Kelly right now is preparing for our May 22nd Lincoln Day dinner, where he's going to be a keynote speaker. He's going to talk about his J6 experience. So, Chris, get on to the LivingstonRepublicans.com and go buy a ticket to that, and then you'll get to ask him yourself. If you spend $125, you get a VIP ticket, and you can talk to him yourself. So let's do that. All right, we got some more here. Let's see. The relationship is good pay, good benefits, and good employers that take care of their employees. That's a
Totally agree, Chris. Yep.
Agree. Then Ron's back. Did you agree with? Oh, we already did that one. Well, Ron, did you write that twice, or did you miss that first one? All right. You run and Kevin, call me. I'll drive. Okay. All right. Chris Bear Brewer is selling real estate. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, it must be the Ryan Kelly thing. All right, here we go. Randy Gupper Senior, gotta do what he's gotta do to survive. All right. Look, it's all about us. It's not about each other in here. No fighting. No fighting in my waiting room over there. This is good info, except for bragging about being 64 years old. Ha ha ha! I'm jealous. Oh, Stacy's one of our new candidates. He's a veteran that is running for city council. So
thank you for your service.
Yes, he's a good guy. So anyway, bragging about being 64. He's a couple years older. We'll just say that.
I'd rather be 54 if I had my choice.
Well, I understand. I'll tell you what. I'm 64. That means I woke up. I woke up when I turned 64, and I was not. I was on the right side of the daisies, as they say. So I'm happy. I'm okay with being 64.
The alternative,
right? Yes, that was
doesn't work. No, unfortunately, this year I've already had 4 friends die. It's crazy, and it just becomes part of our life as we get older.
I know.
You know what I mean? So 64 is good. I'm 44.
That's right.
That's right. Maybe 34.
Well, that voice in your head.
Yeah.
Never ages. It's the same voice in your head that when you were 4. So let me ask you this. Let's get down to some. Let's get into some details here.
Yep.
What I'd like. Do I have a ticket link? Will you type in LivingstonRepublicans.com? So then you just go there and type in, or scroll down till you see the Lincoln Day dinner. So let's talk about the candidates. I want your opinion on strength. Let's just do quickly strengths and weaknesses of the candidates we know. All right. So let's start with Senate. We got Mike Rogers. Running for Senate. Tell me his strengths and his weaknesses.
I think Mike has experience in Washington. I think that's a strength. I think Mike understands the threats to our country better than any candidate, and that would include Elissa Slotkin. I realize that on the right that people attack Mike for some things that he has said, and I would challenge them to take another look. Mike Rogers is a good man. He has devoted his life to serving people in the military, in the FBI. I think he represented Michigan very well when he was elected. Is he perfect? No. But our litmus test shouldn't be that you have to swear an allegiance or an oath to a certain statement within the party. His overall book of business makes Mike a very viable candidate. And candidly, I think Michigan would be better off if he were our senator today versus Slotkin.
Well, I think that, I think that, let's see, I'm trying to get a list of.
We could have had an opportunity to have 2 Republicans. And interestingly enough, if Republicans who voted for Trump would have voted consistently for Mike Rogers, he would have been our senator.
Well, and Mike, I think is, I think that his issue, I guess, with Republicans is he's not perceived as far right or super conservative. He's perceived as more moderate, which, and I keep saying this over and over and over and over again, it is a moderate will take a big chunk. It'll take the right, plus it'll take the big chunk of the independent.
But this last time, Mike got the independent votes that he needed.
He did.
What he didn't get was the
Republicans.
Votes.
I know. So,
and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's why.
We missed an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because that's why I named that. I named this slide. Stay thee not hold, rather hold thy nose and vote, because that presentation is really about. I don't care if he's not, if whoever is our primary winner, don't skip it because you give majority to the other side, and it's just foolish, foolish, foolish. So just hold your nose and vote for whoever the winner is. Understand the processes. Whoever gets elected was elected by the majority. Respect that. Don't be a Democrat. Respect that and vote for your candidate. So having said that, so yeah, we have Randy here. It says Mike is our best shot at Senate. I think that he's, as far as that electable, back to the Drick pie, Mike is very electable in the sense that his name is now back out there. I feel like a big part of why Mike, a big contributor, I guess, to the lack of votes is that Mike was very well known for a long, long, long time, especially here in Livingston County, where he went to school 2 years behind me. So in Howell, so he was very well known, and then he kind of disappeared for a long time. Well, when you disappear for 4, 6, 7 years, 8 years, and then come back, we have a whole new group of people, of a lot of the older ones, older than way older than 64, of course, way older. They're kind of low key now, and they're not as vocal. They're not out influencing. But some of the newer influencers, they don't know him, or they know of him, but they really don't know him. So he lost. I mean, he needed to get some more recognition. I think if he runs again now, I think one of his strengths is that he's going to be able to get that recognition. I know this. I got another one of the Drick election pie pieces. Is I'm getting texts from. He's getting some good endorsements. He was endorsed by the Senate Majority Leader, and he was also. I mean, I got my favorite Senator John Kennedy out of Louisiana texted me today saying, "I'm supporting Roger." Woo!
Yep,
So
I saw that.
Yeah, that was awesome. So anyway, he's got some good. He understands electable, and I will also tell you another strength of Mike Rogers. I've been watching Mike. Like I said, I've watched him in every race he's ever been in. I have yet to see anybody who can work a room like he can.
Yeah.
He is amazing. He is over the top amazing at working a room. So, you ever anybody that's a candidate ought to go to a banquet where Mike's there working that room and pay attention, take notes. He knows what he's doing.
Here's what I will say about Mike. If you have a question that makes you doubt Mike, have the courage to ask that question politely of Mike, and he'll give you an honest answer.
He will.
Yeah.
He will. So here we got some comments here. Shame is that many so-called Republicans push people to vote third party rather than vote for him, and now we have Slotkins. Amen. Randy, I want you to come to every one of my Republican Party meetings, and I want you to stand up and I want you to say that, because then if you say it, then that's two. That's me saying it too. We got Lisa. Lisa plugged her nose. Oh, Lisa R. Haha. Lisa, don't you pronounce her last name. Lisa R. Plugged her nose and voted for him. Yes. Good. And that's what we need to do. We need more. Unfortunately, 19,000 people, 19,001 also should have done that. The biggest advantage we have for Senate this go around is the left has bad candidates. Ooh, that's a really good point. I heard, did I hear Speaker Tate, former Speaker Tate is jumping in, or is thinking about jumping in. I just looked up the publicly expressed interest, Tudor Dixon.
Huizenga has expressed interest.
He
recently
Huizenga,
put something out there.
And so let's start with Tudor. What's her pluses and minuses, you think?
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Okay. Well, I can, from my perspective, she is very personable, and she's very personable, and she did do a statewide race, so people know her name now. The first time she did that gubernatorial race, nobody knew who she was, or at least outside of her area. And so now people know her name. The downside is that I suspect that same machine that tied her to the abortion last time, that caused her to lose, that's going to haunt her again. Although I would, abortion. When I advise my
Tudor's bigger concerns are going to be if you take out a very select group of donors.
Mm-hmm.
Tudor raised about $120,000 out of a very select group of donors.
So it's going to depend if that group gets back in.
but that group isn't going to donate enough money. You are talking about. I talked to Chairman Runstead today, in fact, and this election cycle with the Senate seats, the congressional seat now that John James has vacated, excuse me, and the gubernatorial seats. Think of the impact that a Republican senator maintaining the congressional seat and a Republican governor could have on the next presidential election in 28 for Michigan.
Agreed.
It's huge. So Michigan is going to be one of the top 2 states as far as national money. And I suspect that this election cycle, we will see $500 million to $600 million come through the state of Michigan. And you have to have someone who is capable of either writing a big check or fundraising and getting the support on a national level. And I think that Tudor's a really good lady. But I think her Achilles heel will be fundraising.
I agree.
And we can't afford a distraction. We can't afford to have candidates that splinter and force our candidate that's going to win to spend time addressing the splinter candidates at their own expense because there's only so many dollars to go around.
Right.
And
no, I agree.
So,
and and here Chris makes another good point. Tudor would be better than Duggan if it comes down to it. I agree, but I don't think she could beat him. I think that you're right. I don't think she has the money. I don't. We were kind of getting in there. Like I said, I also think that the abortion issue, even though, and I advise my clients now, just tell them abortion is a non-issue. It's in our Constitution. It doesn't matter what you think or whether you support it or not. It doesn't matter. Don't even get in that conversation because it doesn't matter. Do we need a cardboard Kevin? Yeah, we had a cardboard Trump. Yeah, so yeah, we do. You gonna get us one? Thank you.
I'll pose this week,
here. Yeah, Chris agrees with you. She can't raise the money. So all right. So then we got Huizenga. What do you suppose his pluses and minuses are for U.S. Senate?
Again, I think we have the fear, and this goes into one of the gubernatorial candidates as well. Our margin in the House is very narrow at the federal level. And you have Congressman Huizenga. You have Congressman James. If you take those two out of the voting equation because they are not focused on what they were elected to do, but because they are running for other jobs, the whole Trump agenda is in jeopardy.
Yep.
And I look at it, this is just me, okay? And I'm not a candidate, but I look at it as a betrayal because these guys ran for a position. And for them to be announcing for a different position or saying that they're considering to run for a different position so soon after being reelected,
right,
that to me, they were thinking about this when they were taking money from donors who were their constituents, who they were representing personally, and now they're going to use that money not for their congressional seat, but to try and put them into a different role, either the Senate or the gubernatorial seat. And that's what those people didn't donate for that.
Yep.
And so I don't like the fact that we have a very narrow margin. We have a president that is working on change that America needs, and that we have people that are putting themselves above, the country.
Right.
And
I hope he doesn't. I was disappointed when John James, not that he wouldn't make a good governor.
John's a great guy.
I'm not saying that at all.
I think he's a great guy.
Yeah, I'm not saying they would be back, but again, you're back at that same exact statement. That is, we could lose majority in the House, and we've talked all about we've had multiple discussions both here and at our Republican meeting what majority means.
Macomb County is a purple district.
It is. Oh God, yeah.
It is a Reagan Democrat district,
it is.
And we very well could lose the James seat.
Sure.
It was not, John won, I think, by 6,000 votes
Yep.
in his first term in what was supposed to be a landslide
Right,
against Kalamar.
right.
The second time around, he won by a larger margin, but he didn't win by as much as Donald Trump. And that's
Right.
very, very
It
interesting
is.
because the support waned.
Mhm.
And I just hope for America,
Yep.
and I hope for Michigan that doesn't bite us in the
Right.
backside.
No, I agree. I like I said, I agree that both Huizenga and John James could be good candidates. They could be good elected officials, but it does put our majority at risk, and that is huge, 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 huge that we maintain majority. If we lose it, we lose it. We're not. I mean, again, we saw what happened when we lose majority in Michigan.
Well, remember
Right.
this: if you like Doge,
Mhm.
Doge is nothing but a series of recommendations.
Mhm.
If Congress doesn't have the votes to codify into law, and the Senate doesn't have the votes to codify into law these changes, you don't think for a minute that a Democrat gets back in and they start expanding
That's
government
right.
again, and they start wasting your money
Yep.
on all sorts
Yep.
of different subsidies. And
That's a really, really good point. Everybody listen to that.
yeah.
It's a really good point.
It's critical.
Well, Jessica Bearfield chimed in here saying she agrees with you that those two need to focus on the positions they were elected. It does harms Michigan versus helping it. I agree. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on those. So I'm hoping, like I said, if they got elected, would they do a good job? Yes, but I feel like they're doing a good job now, and they need to stay there because they put it at risk when they leave.
I think from a qualification perspective, if you were to rank them, and these are the three people that we've heard about, that certainly Mike Rogers is the most qualified. Huizenga, based on his congressional experience, would be the next most qualified, and Tudor would be the third in that list of experience in legislating and governing. It doesn't mean that she doesn't have the right values or the right morals. That's not what I'm saying. Doesn't mean that she's not a bright gal.
That's right.
Not attacking her at all.
Nope.
I'm just simply saying the experience, the basis of their life work.
Right.
In my view, that's how they would look.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So the last one they talked about is it publicly expressing interest. Now they got a bunch of potentials, but I'm not going there. Lorenzo Sewell, how do you pronounce that?
The pastor, Lorenzo
Yes,
Sewell.
yes, Sewell, yes.
Yeah.
I guess that would be an interesting twist, wouldn't it? Boy, talk about having your own little special category there. He is immensely popular with Republicans as far as a pastor and as far as getting him to come speak places and things like that. It will be interesting. And talk about charisma. Holy cow, that man's charisma comes around the corner 5 minutes before the rest of them does.
You know, for people, I don't, to get to know Lorenzo, I have a podcast, and it's called Beyond the Echo. And Lorenzo was one of my guests. And we spent 2.5 hours talking about Lorenzo Sewell.
Mm-hmm.
And you can call it self-promotion. Don't watch me. Watch Lorenzo. He's a dynamic man.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And
like I said, yeah.
His background and what he has done with the 180 Church and his contribution to President Trump winning in the African American community was significant. And an interesting guy if he chooses to run.
All right. So if I get my way, if I get to place people places, right? I would like Lorenzo to go through some channels, some
Different seats.
I'd like him to get some legislative experience. Go run as a House rep. I mean, he could be one of the few. I mean, he could be a Republican House representative. He could be a state senator. Let's go for one of those seats. Get your, knowing or thinking how it works isn't the same as knowing how it works.
Yeah.
So get some of that experience. You don't have to become a lifelong legislator, but get in there and figure out kind of the basics and learn more than where the bathroom is, and then come back out. Then you got some more. I don't know if he's the guy we want. Chris. I don't know. I'm just saying, if he's going to do anything, I would hate to see him run against Mike Rogers. That would be a fissure that would definitely put a crack in things. So a pastor should never leave a spot for public office. Well, we don't. No, we believe in we here believe in free rights and free will here.
Everyone's entitled. To
Everyone's
opinion.
entitled, and you know what? Having a pastor, we have our Livingston County. I mean, my state rep is a pastor, so I'm totally happy with him doing what he's doing. So it's okay. But I would like to see him get some. We already had Ralph. Chris says. I'd like to see him get through some channels. He's just gain a little bit more than he is right now. But yeah, I would mind seeing him in a congressional seat or whatever. That would be great. So all right, so that is that. So let's shoot over to governor here. That's Senate. Let's shoot to governor here. So we already talked about John James. He's got pluses, he's got minuses. He is from the east side of the state, so he can help take some of that Wayne County vote away from Duggan, which might help.
Right.
So we the negative for that is like we discussed, he loses that seat, and we don't know that it's going to be replaced by a Republican. So that
you can't underestimate the fact that Mike has also lost 2 statewide elections.
So Mr. Space, we have Evan Space has told us that he is a Republican gubernatorial candidate. I guess I should have looked that up. I did. I was looking up. I looked up Senate, but I didn't look up. So let's see.
Didn't know that either.
I know.
But anyways, John is a good man. I'm saddened that he's making the decision because I think he made a commitment to those people in the 10th district, and to threaten what's going on in Washington. And I really like John. I really.
I like him too.
Yeah,
I like him too.
guy.
I just would like him to stay where he is. So Evan, you say you're a gubernatorial candidate. You're not on our list here of and I did look before here. So have you officially declared yet? You can type us in on your comment here. Then we have Randy here says Evan's running again.
I don't have any comments, but let's talk about my comment.
Hold on, don't go anywhere for just a minute. We lost our feed again, so let me
Not again.
back up and go again. Where? Touch it. Oh, what happened? Did we actually miss something? There we go.
There you
We're
go.
back. Oh, has that been the problem all along? That's you. It's Tyler over there hitting the wrong button. I'm joking. I don't know what it is, but we found it. So Evan, let's see. Are you a? Yes, you have. Okay. Okay. Well, good. We'll hear for that. So okay, you'll have to tell us. We'll have to get you on the podcast. So stick around, and we'll give you information on how to get on this podcast. We're gonna have all candidates. So Mike Cox. Go ahead and talk about Mike Cox.
Yeah. Mike was the Attorney General.
Mm-hmm.
You certainly go back and look at the history of Mike as Attorney General. He did some things very, very well.
He did very good things.
Yeah, he was criticized severely for a situation at the Manoogian Mansion with, at the time, Kwame Kilpatrick and a woman who I believe was killed. That's an issue that I'm sure Mike will have to answer to. I don't know all the details with it. His wife ran the Republican Party, mixed reviews. Some people thought she did great. Other people thought that she tanked it.
I think that's pretty much what they think of every single leader there.
Absolutely. Mike went out and he went from protecting the people to becoming a plaintiff's attorney, and he's done very, very well. He has won some very high profile cases, one against the University of Michigan, another one against the U.S. government. And
well, he's got his pluses and minuses. Moving along,
and we all
move along here.
We all will. Then you've got Eric Nesbitt, and Eric, I believe, has been in the Michigan legislature for roughly 17 years. and he's a really good legislator.
Wait.
He didn't have the term limits.
Yes, he did.
Different positions through government for 17 years.
So we're not talking about just Senate and House.
Not just
Okay.
no,
That's where the
no,
numbers
he
didn't make it.
he was a commissioner
Got it.
for
Got it. Okay.
appointed by Rick Snyder, if
I
I'm not
get it. I
mistaken.
get it. All right.
But for 17 years.
Sure.
And I think Eric is a really savvy legislator.
I agree.
Usually in Michigan and nationally, legislators don't progress from a speaker's position to the governor's seat. There's just no history
Senate
of
majority
that
leader.
happening.
Senate minority leader.
Senate minority
Yeah.
leader.
Mhm.
There's just no history of it, and he's a good guy, and certainly
Now
should
they've
have
gone
a
from
voice.
there to lieutenant governor, but I don't think they've ever made governor.
Never in the history of
Yeah,
the
Dick
state,
Posthumous was the
the
leader
closest.
that went into he became a lieutenant governor.
Right, right.
So I think that he's well liked. Another one that has a lot of charisma, very well liked. He was chosen to be the leader of the Senate, even though they lost the majority. So I don't know what his fundraising is like. I'm assuming to be a majority leader or elected as one, you have to be able to raise money. So I'm going to make
He's
that
gonna have a
leap and
small
say he's going to have a group. He's from the west side of the state, and I think that might be one of his negatives. He's going to have to get to know. I talk about him here. As the party chair, I talk about all the candidates, and people don't know him out here. And this is an area I've sent out an invite for Leader Nesbitt to come on the show. He's not well known out here, so he
Sure.
needs to do that.
I think that people need to recognize whoever runs
Mm-hmm.
the primary for the Republican governor's
Mhm.
seat is going to cost between 15 and 30 million dollars.
Agreed.
And you can say, "Hey, I'm going to kick in $1 million," and that's great. You can say, "Hey, I raised $1 million my first week," which Eric came out and obviously through his connections raised $1 million.
Sure.
Have any of them made a splash? Have any of them?
I don't know that they're splashing right now.
Have any of them garnered
Yeah.
any excitement? And we still have over 500 days before the election.
Yep.
And I think that the consultants are loving the fact that candidates are getting in early
Sure.
because that's how they make their jam.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the best for the Republican Party, and I don't think that's the best for
Yeah.
Michigan. But the consultants like it.
Well, and again, we're back to my little pie again, my electability pie. And the longer you have how did that happen? Did you click something? Look at that. The longer you have to build up your pie pieces, your pie slices, the better. So, as soon as I strongly believe that, I always urge my people I work with, get in early, because it enables you to, because how many times are you looking for donors or whatever, and they say, "Oh, I didn't know you were jumping in. I've already committed to so and so." We find that a lot, and some will leave. If you got a better candidate, some will leave, but many of them won't. They've already committed. So I always tell people, get your name out there so people know when somebody else comes knocking. They'd rather support you. But that's just my advice. So everybody's, again, free will. Sad that it costs so money. Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
So
It's pathetic that it costs that much
we need
money.
an act blue for the Republicans. So anyway, that's what I have. Anthony Hudson. We didn't discuss him. He's another candidate. Like I said, he's kind of coming from his own little planet out there. He's not a politician. He's
Yeah,
he's a truck driver,
Yeah.
and he's very
Passionate.
very passionate, and that passion comes through. He's got quite a good social media following.
He's not electable.
If he got some money, he could be, but
He's not electable.
okay.
And he can be the greatest guy in the world. I'll give 100 to 1 odds. He's not electable.
Yeah. I mean, you can make anybody electable with the right stuff.
I disagree.
Okay, we're going to have to disagree there.
Yep.
That one,
Yep.
you fill the pie, you fill the pie.
He'd need $100 million in the primary to be elected, and he's not going to get it.
Okay, well, again, whether or not he gets money is not the point. Being electable means you can be developed. So if the right people work with him, he could be developed.
Anyone who wants to take 100-to-1 odds.
Well, we're not going to attack our candidates here.
I'm not attacking.
Yeah, kind of are.
You asked me for my opinion.
I know.
And I'm entitled to it. That's not an attack.
Right. So anyway, as far as that goes, he's got some interesting ideas.
He does.
Whether or not how feasible they are, but his strengths are he's got a lot of charisma. He's got some unique ideas. He's got a good social media following. He's got that boots on the ground kind of people working for him. So okay, that's good.
Yep.
But downside, yeah, he's low on funds. So he'd have to have a lot of money, and he'd have to have some really strong people supporting him. So and if he does it, he does it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But again,
the independents and the people, the centrists in the Republican Party, it's unfortunate because he's a bright guy. And he's charismatic, like you say. They just aren't going to get behind him. And he may garner 75,000 or 120,000.
Right.
He may prevent somebody else from getting elected. That might be able to win at the state level because he's going to take votes from somebody.
Right. Yeah, I'm not on anybody's bandwagon here. I'm just or saying anybody can't do it. It's just a matter of
nothing is impossible.
Right. And with the right stuff, I mean, making somebody electable. Like I said, there's qualified and then there's electable. Qualified is something you have to be. You cannot make somebody qualified. They have to be. Right?
Yep.
Electable is where you got some leadership. You can make somebody electable with the right person, the right plan, the right everything else. You can make somebody electable, but you cannot make somebody be qualified. So I think your notion of qualifications as it pertains to our candidates is spot on. We need to make sure that whoever it is we get elected is qualified for this. And then, like I said, if they're not elected, I mean, I hate when I see a race that somebody is super qualified, but they haven't taken the steps to become electable. So anyway, so I think that's it. So there's a interesting idea like taking a salary from campaign contributions. That's, some politicians do that. It's not illegal and it's been done. So it's just usually not highlighted like it is being for him. But anyway, so that's all I have for, I'm not going anywhere there. I have to.
Sorry for laughing.
William Null, construction manager. There's that one. You know anything about him? Apparently he's declared.
Well, there you go. Add him to the list.
So we got William Null, and then we've got Evan up here, Evan Space, that has declared that is not on the list. So anyway, all right. Well, Kevin, you're still thinking about. So if you're going to make a decision, when do you anticipate I'm going to make a decision by such and such?
I don't set a hard date, and
can you give me a hard season?
Again, there's 500 and I believe 24 days before the primary.
Right.
And I think that there's ample time to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
In a perfect world, somebody is going to emerge. I don't think we've seen him yet that checks off all my boxes, and I can say I want to get behind him. Because again, I'm a business guy. I'm not a politician.
Mm-hmm.
In the politics of politics, let me tell you, stinks. I can use other adjectives, but you get angry with me. And
no, our podcast doesn't use those.
It's I get it. We can't elect unqualified people and expect them to make exceptional decisions.
Right.
We can't elect people who don't understand what it takes to be a leader and expect them to lead Michigan to a different place.
Agreed.
And all of the confusion and all of the people squawking about, oh, this guy's great or this guy's great or this guy's great. You know what? Most effective leaders, people are loyal to them, but they don't always like them.
Right.
Abraham Lincoln was hated for what he did. Ulysses S. Grant was hated for what he did, yet he got us the outcome.
Yep.
George Patton was hated by people because he couldn't be bought, he couldn't be influenced. He didn't have to do anything other than lead his men.
Right. Right.
And I'm just going to say to Michigan, we should be one of the 3 most significant states in America. And we're not. We should be a leader in multiple categories, like we used to be in education.
Mhm.
Michigan led the country in engineering. Michigan led the country in manufacturing. Michigan led the country in income. Michigan led the country. And we no longer do that. And so we need leadership.
Right.
And we need someone who doesn't need a job, doesn't have to belly up to the lobbyist, who's willing to maybe stick a boot where a boot needs to be stuck at
Mhm.
points
Yep.
to get things done. And, Donald Trump is delivering on what he said he was going to do. And I respect that. I don't agree with 100% of it or how he's doing it 100% of the time, but I'm willing to give him the chance because Donald Trump's a leader.
Right.
Ron DeSantis in Florida. I went back and I looked when he ran for governor. Everything that he said that he was going to do, he followed through on.
Right.
And that helped propel Florida forward. And I respect that. Ron
Mhm.
DeSantis is a leader.
Right.
Gretchen Whitmer is not a leader. Here's your leader.
Oh, I know that's bad.
You know,
That what was
Um,
he thinking?
in trying to explain it. Is that what we want?
No.
Jennifer Granholm wasn't a leader. And Michigan suffered. We have people that are angry because leaders aren't
Yep.
always popular at Rick Snyder. But you know what? The state was better off. It
Agreed.
wasn't perfect. I'm not saying it was perfect. John Engler was called a bully.
He was a bully.
And you say he was a
Well,
bully.
he was.
He was a leader.
He was. He was a leader.
And
He
you
got
know
stuff
what?
done.
And he got things done,
Yes,
and
he
Michigan was a better place.
Yep.
And then who came in behind that? Jim Blanchard. He wasn't a leader. Jim was just soft. And when I say that, when I do that, you're looking at me confused.
I'm looking at it because I thought Blanchard was before Engler, wasn't he? I thought Granholm came in.
I'm
after
sorry,
Engler.
Blanchard was before.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Okay. All right.
And then Granholm
Granholm came in, but you're same
Engler.
thing.
But the same thing.
Mhm.
And so we have a history of going from really weak people and then strong people, and those strong people are called bullies or they're picked upon, and yet the state keeps going like this. And if you love Michigan, and I love Michigan,
Mhm.
if you believe in a strong state, in strong communities, and a government that works for you versus controlling you, then we need change. And I don't
We
think
do.
a politician is going to provide that change. I don't think that people that are looking for career movement are going to provide that change. I think you need an outsider, and an outsider that's qualified, and maybe with your help, electable. So
Yeah, you get.
We go
So
from
I
there.
think that's the bottom line of all this stuff. We've got to find somebody qualified, and then we got to take the steps, whatever those steps will be, to make that person electable. So
Yep.
and we all work together and we get that done. So Kevin, I can't thank you enough for spending this time. I've enjoyed our conversation, both parallel and perpendicular. It's been
Absolutely.
invigorating, and that's part of we always get a lot out of it. Our comments, our people are real happy with our discussion here. So I'd love to welcome you back.
Only as a candidate.
I challenge you. I'm a double dog dare you. Make your announcement on this show. So we'll
Really?
just
double dog dare.
double dog dare you. Yes, from one 64-year-old to another.
You
double
are
dog
not
dare you
the
here.
first person to double dog dare.
I'm probably not in our age. I
Okay.
didn't even get it because only people our age. I said it's somebody like Tyler who has no idea what I'm talking about.
I promise this. If I announce, you'll know.
All right,
There
that's
you
what
go.
I need to know. That's what I need. So, all right,
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Thanks,
Tyler,
Livingston County.
thank-
Hope to talk to you again soon.
We'll take you to commercial here. And we'll be back with Mike and Sharon Staton, who's going to come talk about LCRP membership.
John Adams warned that the Constitution is wholly inadequate without a moral and religious people. As conservatives, we must reclaim the faith that shaped it, rooted in Jesus Christ and the Bible. To help you understand the historic Christianity that our country was founded on, check out theexaltedchrist.com, a resource website proclaiming Christ as King.
Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning is a fantastic new blend of herbs and vegetables made in Livingston County. Add a tablespoon to homemade breads, soups, stews, meat, poultry, vegetables, casseroles, sauces, and more. To order, email Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning at gmail.com or message the Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning Facebook page. It's time to divorce your Marry Me Chicken and take advantage of free delivery in and around Livingston County. Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning, the only seasoning you need.
Hey, what do you say? This whole town could be red by the end of the day. If you feel alright, we can throw it and drive. With the radio up.
And we're back. What an invigorating conversation with Kevin Rinke. It'll be interesting to see if he jumps into this race or not. So yeah, he's got an interesting perspective being an outsider, as he calls himself. He at least said it at least 4 times today. He's not a politician. He's a businessman. So I know that he is. He encouraged me to post his email here, which we're going to do right now. And we'll put that up there. That is where anybody has questions or thoughts or whatnot from today's show. There's his email right there. Make sure and we'll post it again before we go. So we'll post it. Just write him, ask him your questions, and he'll be happy to answer. So next guest here is oh, look, we get it twice this way. So we have Mike and Sharon Staton, who are Marion Township residents. They have they started off, they were delegates for us, and then they joined our executive committee this term, which I'm real happy to have them behind us. And then they took on the awesome role as being co-chairs for our membership drive. So welcome, both of you. Thanks for coming on and talking. So today's topic, or from this point on, and look what we made just for you guys, right? Wait, no. Where is it? Where'd it go? Is it on banners? It's on banners, right? Oh, there it is. Look at this. We got a little ticker tape on the bottom here. It has our membership stuff. So see, it's this right,
Oh, very
here.
good.
There we go, right there.
All right.
Yeah, so we'll put that up there for you guys. So tell us about, so they just came back from Florida. They were in Florida, and they were quite busy down there coming up with all kinds of ideas for membership. So they came back, and wow, we stayed in touch. We had Zoom meetings and brainstormed and came up with some ideas. So we changed, our first idea was they changed around some of the membership rates and kind of made things a little clearer and easier, a little bit more streamlined. So tell us what else tell us some of your membership ideas you came back with.
Well, we've designated June as new membership month,
All right.
and there will be many opportunities in June to learn about the Livingston County Republican Party and what we are about. And one of the opportunities will be the EC meeting, the Executive Committee meeting. And those are always on the first Thursday of every month. And there will be, the first half hour is the EC meeting. And then after that, we have a chance to get to know each other and learn about things that are happening and current events that are, things that are taking place. And sometimes candidates speak to the group. It's always interesting.
Well, and I think we're going to do things a little different for June. Normally we have like she said, the first half an hour is the voting. We get the business out of the way, and then it's more of a where we have legislative updates and things. And I think for June, we're going to designate that bring a new member, bring a potential member to the meeting night, and we will create the agenda more new member centric, I guess. Focus on giving new members some information and being able to introduce them to their elected officials while there. And we'll have some activities, designed to engage some new people. So
Right. And of course, Mike and I will be there to sign anyone up that's interested in becoming a new member. The second opportunity will be what we call bring a friend to breakfast potluck, which will be at the VC. And that's our Victory Center.
Yep.
And if you haven't had a chance to visit our Victory Center, this would be a great opportunity. And it's also, bring a friend or two, conservative friends that would be interested maybe in becoming members or learning what we're about or getting to know some, fellow conservatives. So that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be on June 7th, a Saturday. And then on the third Thursday social, which is every month, there's a social on the third Thursday where we all get together and hang out and get to know each other better. And I'm sorry, fourth Thursday.
Third Thursday is delegates.
Sorry.
Sorry, Sharon. We're not cutting into your territory. You just start a riot. My phone's gonna be going.
No. Got everybody confused now. That's so typical. Anyway, the fourth Thursday. I've been in Florida. So fourth Thursday social, which will be I have June 19th, but scratch that. It'll be the next Thursday. Yeah. So we're gonna have a potluck that night at the Victory Center.
Right.
So, everybody brings something. We'll let you know more details about that as it gets closer.
Most important thing you could bring though is a potential new member.
So that's right.
We have at least 3 opportunities to bring potential new members. One would be to a meeting that will be, like I said, be more focused on new members. One will be to now for the longest time, Rob Rodriguez and I, Rob Rodriguez Pelzari. That is such a mouthful.
Say that fast.
I know. I'm lucky to say that once. But Rod, as we call him, and we like to throw down chili or chicken soup, and we're neck and neck on these things. So we're gonna throw down for some breakfast. Probably a pancake flip. Maybe Rob. Maybe I'll challenge somebody else if Rob can't make it. But I'm hoping Rob can be there because I like beating him. So. Anyway, so
he eats the most pancakes.
Yeah, he does. He eats pancakes. So we're going to throw that. But then, everybody will bring a dish to pass, eggs or bacon or whatever, biscuits and gravy. I don't know how to make biscuits and gravy, so somebody that makes that good, please bring that. So we'll do that. That'll be a great opportunity. But then, we'll also do a dinner for people that have different, it'll be a Saturday for the breakfast. So we'll have different schedules for different people. But I'm looking forward to it. We also have Food Truck Friday in there somewhere, too.
Right.
don't we?
Mike is going to
Yeah,
talk about
since we
that.
designated June our new membership month, we're going to be at the farmer market
Okay.
on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay.
There is the third the third Friday in June, which would be June 20th, is when they're going to be in Pinckney for the food truck. So that'll be an opportunity. And to all these events, Sharon and I will be there to help and facilitate people to join and show them how, and answer questions.
Sure.
If you can't make it to one of our events like that, the VC, which I encourage you to come to see this great facility that we have now,
Mhm.
and to be part of that. So, and all of us that are our members should have try to bring new people.
Bring that neighbor that is Republican, and bring the friend, or bring the person you work with, or you met recently. A church. A church is a great place
Right.
to meet other Republicans, and it's hard. One of the benefits of joining our party, one, is it's hard in today's society, because some of the non or anti-conservatives, I'll call them, they're rabid when you mention you wear a Trump hat in someplace and people are yelling at you, or you mention being a Republican, people yell. So this is what's great, or what I hear from people, what's great about this is you can come to our socials, you can come to our events, and you sit down with a group of people, you meet new people that think like you do, that, we have our, different beliefs. You heard Kevin and I debate whether or not somebody was this or that. It doesn't matter. So notice how we stayed okay with it.
Yeah.
We know how to
Stay
disagree in this party. We do it at our executive committee meetings. Somebody wants this, somebody this, we vote, done. We all link arms and march east. When it's over with it, we just keep going. But it's great to be able to have those open, honest discussions without worrying about how somebody's going to, give you the shame, for supporting Trump, or for supporting Doge, or liking what Elon's doing. So it's refreshing, to be able to do that. So that's one reason, Mike.
One reason.
Mhm.
And in that, you're going to meet people that are going to become close friends.
Yes.
We're a close knit group. We care about each other. We pray for each other. It's more than just acquaintance. You become friends. You become invested in each other,
Mhm.
and that is a great benefit of it. So there's a lot of reasons why to become a member.
We become a tribe.
We
You
become a
find your
tribe.
tribe. Is what you do. Yes.
And like Deb says, we don't always agree on everything, but we come to a consensus and work it out and go from there. And the benefits go beyond just making friendships. It's also one of the things that I really like about becoming a member is I've got to know my elected officials. I know my district commissioner. Actually, I know all the 9 commissioners. Yeah, Deb's, I know all 9 commissioners. I can talk to them and express my opinions about things. I've got to meet all our representatives that represent us in the state. I've got to meet our representative in Congress. That you have these opportunities to express yourself and not just be someone on the sidelines who complains about why did they do this or why didn't they. You get to be involved, and that's a great thing to do.
And that spreads. You've also got your sheriff, your prosecutor comes, your drain commissioner comes, your school board members come. So it's government on all levels from Congress down. And Mike Rogers knows who's hopefully going to be our at least as a candidate for Senate. And should Mike Rogers become Senate and win, he'll come to our town and he can walk into our party and know most of us. So this is a great way to find out, and not just find out, but like Mike said, be involved.
Yeah.
Tell these. I would say that our elected officials listen to what we have to tell them. They don't just roll their eyes or smile and shake her hand and keep walking. I bring up something, and I not just because I'm chair. This has been going on for years. If I have something I'm concerned about or question, I'll say something, and I'll get follow up on that later. I don't get blown off. So
right. And we're the party of common sense too.
Agreed.
And we work together to elect people that oppose boys and girls sports
Mhm.
and in bathrooms, girls' bathrooms, and the wind and the solar scam, throughout our county and our state. We want people that will oppose that. And inappropriate books in our schools and libraries, and DEI being taught in our public schools. All these things, we want people that are going to oppose these things, that and
Elected
voting
officials,
without
yes,
proper
yes.
ID
Yes,
or citizenship.
right.
So common sense.
Look what our,
So-
our elected officials have done in Livingston County.
Oh, yes.
Why is it important to have conservative people running your county and working? As we learned last week about even a drain commissioner.
Sure.
Why it's important to have a conservative, even as a drain commissioner. But think about it. We are one of the safest, if not the safest county
Mhm.
in the state of Michigan.
Yep.
In fact, people who are criminals know how safe we are.
I
Our
know.
law enforcement, they avoid our state transporting.
I heard that.
Going back and forth. They want to go because they know if they're going to be caught and prosecuted.
Yep.
There. We have safe neighborhoods. We have one of the healthiest counties in all the state.
That's right.
People are healthy here. We have the lowest county taxes of any county in the
That's
whole
right.
state of Michigan. Right? Look at the amenities we have and the standard of living. That's all because of conservative.
We have one of the lowest crime rates in the state.
Yeah, and that's because we have a conservative sheriff, we have conservative commissioners. You go right down the line, and that's why it's important to get involved. And why we need membership is the last election. We have a core amount of people, a few, maybe 50 to 100 people doing several jobs, working hard, knocking on doors. And we got great results. Was it perfect? No, we didn't. One of our
Couple of them.
state rep, we didn't get them elected.
All right.
And what we could do if we had expanded that nucleus, how many more doors could we knock? How much more money could we raise?
Mhm.
How many more people could we get elected if we were all working
Sure.
together?
Sure.
And there's 160,000 people vote in Livingston County usually in an election. I would say close to 100,000 of them are right or center right.
Mhm.
But yet we only have a few hundred people out there doing the work.
Right.
How much better could we do?
Oh my gosh.
And with this next election, it's
So
been
important.
said several times that this next Michigan election, Kevin said that here, is critical
Yeah, it's
to the
critical.
state of Michigan.
It is exactly what the Trump election was to the United States. This election is to Michigan. We lose this, and we have 4 more years of horrid stuff. We have to win that Senate. We have to win the governor. And I want to kind of put a plug in there. When I say join our membership, I'm not a believer of putting people in positions that they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So you don't like to knock doors, that's fine. We're not going to force you to knock doors. You like to decorate for events, we'll help you decorate for events. If you like to be the technology person on a podcast, you can help be our technology person. If you like to raise money, you and Tyler can sit over there and have a good time. We have parades that we're in, and we have other events like at farmers market and stuff. And we have letter writing, we have postcard writing. So even I had one volunteer. I put out a note for volunteer, and I had a lady write me and email me, and I won't mention her name, but she basically said, I don't like knocking on doors, I don't like talking to people, I don't like doing that stuff, but I'll help if you got something. And I kind of wrote her back and said, how are you on research? She said, great. So I sent her a bunch of stuff I needed to research on votes, on local issues. Oh my gosh, did she deliver. So it doesn't matter. You tell me, or you tell the Statons here, what do you like to do? What are you good at? And you join our party, even if what do we use your money on? You're going to join with your membership, right? We use your money to help get Republicans elected. All that stuff Mike said of what about Livingston County. A couple weeks ago, we had Commissioner Nick Fiani on here, and he told us how we're putting a new substation for EMS in both the north and the south, Putnam Township, and then over in Cockta Township, a new EMS substation. So it will drastically reduce response time for ambulances across the county. So they're trying to get it so you're under 10 minutes from the call to the arrival. And did they do that? Yes, that's in and of itself great. The real great thing is they did it without bonding and without increasing taxes. Two substations, and they were able to do that because they were smart about money. They employees get raises, and we don't raise taxes. We're smart. We just don't throw money, good money after bad, and that is important. So your membership money helps get people elected. It helps us have this Victory Center. It helps pay for this podcast so we can keep you informed. Our Victory Center here is a hub during election. Last year, Mike Rogers, Brian Ignatowski, Tom Barrett, they all used our area to deposit signs, to deposit literature. We stuff bags here. So that's another thing. If you don't want to knock on doors, don't. Come help us stuff bags. We all sit around a table and laugh and have a good time, and we stuff bags and put them aside. So the people who do like to walk can have a bunch of Republican literature. So come work on mailings. Come help us. If you're a good computer designer, Lisa R., if you're still watching, I still want you on marketing. So you got to reach out to me here real soon.
Oh yeah, there's some million. There's a million jobs when you're working around here. Simple as someone has to sweep the floors and empty the trash.
That's right. Don't get you for that.
Clean the bathroom.
That's right.
That kind of things. But people, as we were working, would just bring us stuff to eat. Encourage it. It takes a lot. It really does. And like I said, there are some people doing probably 10 jobs,
right.
10 things like that. And what the problem with that is you get too pulled away. You're not concentrating on one thing probably as well as you should. So that's why we need people. Another benefit, I think, Deb, because we got Deb here, the trainer, is if you want to run for an office, you have so much support here.
Yes.
By being a member. And you have so many other people who are in the offices who can give you that guidance, that direction,
the mentoring,
mentoring, all that you need. And simple for Sharon and I, just running as delegates. We need delegates. We don't have all our positions filled, and that's an important job. And you can learn how to do that, what it takes, and it's just the benefit of being there.
Sure.
So it gets you excited. You get the inside scoop on all this, what's going on, and it makes you energized to do more.
Right, and that's it. But again, I just want to stress that we don't push people to do things they don't want to do or they're uncomfortable doing. You tell us what you want to do. You tell us how much or how little time you have, and we'll give you some options. And do that. But become a member, even if we need boots on the ground. We need checks written. So do what you can. And we're going to have, we're going to have a bunch of good events come in June. And Tyler, would you please type in membership? We're going to put an email for you if you're interested. Well, down here, right here is a join right there. But if you have questions, you can just go right here on this little spot right now and click the link right now. So any of you watching, if you haven't joined, please join us. And we got a great Lincoln Day dinner coming up, and got all kinds of fun stuff coming. So, but membership at livingstonrepublicans.com, and we're going to put that email up there for you, and you can, that's Mike. You'll get Mike and Sharon with that.
Yeah.
And so let me put that up. Taylor finished, so let me put it up there. So you can just email them any questions you might have, and they'll get right back to you. So we'll have we have a good time. We have a fun at the podcast. We have a blast. We had a blast at our local Vista parade. You were in Florida during our parade. What a blast that was! That was so much fun that night, that day, that we were exhausted from all that stuff, but we were still making plans for Independence Day. When can we do this again? So it was so much fun. That's how we're here for that. Yeah, yes, I'm glad. I got positions for you guys. All right. So we have just such a good time. Yep. But you know what I really love about this year? I've been involved in this party way, way, way back, many years. So, and I've enjoyed the different strengths different leaders have brought, and different skills and everything else. But one thing I've liked about this is the ideas. I love new ideas. Idea from a podcast, I've said this 1,100 times, and I'll probably say it 1,100 more, came from our executive committee secretary, Angela Yarber, who said, Deb, I think you need to do a podcast.
Brilliant.
And then we got a commercial coming for membership. That was the idea of these two brain children here. So they came up, so we put our heads together and came up with a great idea for a commercial, so stay tuned for that. That's being currently worked on. So if you're watching this and you haven't got me, you're part of the commercial. Let's go. So we really need that. So yeah, anything else you guys have to say about our party, about our community?
Well, and I just want to say that I don't know what your past experience has been with our party or what you've ever heard, but I can tell you that we're an efficient machine right now. Your dollars, if you do join, are more than magnified. The things we get done with them, I can guarantee you that $1 is wasted. Everything is done on the up and up, and we like I said, we did a great job in the last election, but just a little bit more, we could have maybe pushed a couple more over the top. So we need your help. It's a fun, but on top of that, it's fun. The get-togethers we have, the people, even going to certain meetings like commissioner meetings, the people you see there, it's just a great time, and it's well worth it to invest some time in anyhow. So
yeah, I agree. It is. I have met many new friends through this party, and over many years, and not your elected officials then become friends as well. So it's just it's a good group. You're right. It's a good group. I love it when new members come up and say, "Hey, did you ever think about doing this?" Oh, goody, another thing to do. But I go do it. They'll tell you I do it. I run around.
You ever sleep?
Yeah. Well, there when I can. That's usually sitting straight up on a couch in between meetings. But yes, I do sleep. But that's like I said. I just get energized by new energy, by new ideas. And then it's fun because I bring this up and everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's a great idea. How can I help?" And we just have that group, a tribe. I think I said it earlier. Yeah. It's a great tribe. So what about you, Sharon? You have anything you want to add?
No, I think that covers.
Okay. Well, so look now you don't have to wait till June. If you got somebody you want to bring them, and then they can still come to our events in June. Yeah. But our next meeting, let's see, we have April, the fourth Thursday in April, we have at Zuki Lake for the fourth Thursday social. This Thursday, and I will put it on the website, and I'll put a thing out. This Thursday, I'm doing a very informal discussion on political communications. It's going to be Zoom. So I'll send out the, I'll post the Zoom invite on the webpage, or not a webpage, our Facebook page, and then we'll send it out in an email as well. So anybody that wants to attend that, it's not going to be, it may be an hour, but it'll be basically the things, and I say this, I said this with his permission. So I say it this way: the things you should post, the things you should not post, or the things you should say, the things you should not say, and the things that you should never ever let Larry Parsons post for you. I did get his permission to say that, so he's a good sport. He laughed at that. I thought that was funny, yeah. But Larry. Larry can get extreme with his posting. So okay, so it's really where to draw that line, and really it's what's effective when it comes to communications in politics, because there's attacks and things that are just don't look. That's not a good look. So anyway, we're going to have that on Thursday the 17th. That's 2 days from now, and watch for that link. We are accepting. I know that Jessica earlier. Let me post it again. Jessica, our awesome events guru. Where'd she go? There it is. This is where, right there, copy and paste that somewhere. That is that's a link to go get tickets for our Lincoln Day dinner. We have, not only do we have, I know we were talking about Ryan Kelly earlier. Ryan is going to be one of our speakers. He's going to talk about his J6 experience. But also we have Coach Joe. Joe
Kennedy?
Kennedy, yes, Coach Joe Kennedy. And he is the coach that was fired, football coach that was fired for praying on the field, and he took it all the way to the courts. He's going to tell that story. That's a unique story.
Yes.
They made a movie about him. It's called Average Joe. So that's the Joe. He's going to be there. You have tickets. You can also do a VIP tickets. We're going to invite our U.S. Senate and gubernatorial candidates into the VIP room. So not only will you get to pay to see and speak to Joe and Ryan, you'll get to speak to whatever gubernatorial candidate. That's part of the reason I want them to come. Bring people to our VIP tent. So we are we're going to do that. So that's coming up, and that's May 22nd. But buy those tickets now. We need to. At some point we're going to have to close that window. There's that. Where is? Oh, hide the comment. There we go. Hide current comment. Good. All right. So, but down here is join. So join or reach out to the membership. The membership at where'd that go? Right there. Membership at livingstonrepublican.com for comments. And that is it. So make sure you do some of those things. Thank you. Thank you, Mike and Sharon, for being on the show. We appreciate you coming here and talking about our awesome party, and we're rocking and rolling, doing all kinds of fun stuff. So we'll be right back, just kind of with a little bit of a wrap up, and we'll be rep. So stay put.
John Adams warned that the Constitution is wholly inadequate without a moral and religious people. As conservatives, we must reclaim the faith that shaped it, rooted in Jesus Christ and the Bible. To help you understand the historic Christianity that our country was founded on, check out theexaltedchrist.com, a resource website proclaiming Christ as King.
Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning is a fantastic new blend of herbs and vegetables made in Livingston County. Add a tablespoon to homemade breads, soups, stews, meat, poultry, vegetables, casseroles, sauces, and more. To order, email Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning at gmail.com or message the Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning Facebook page. It's time to divorce you or marry me chicken and take advantage of free delivery in and around Livingston County. Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning, the only seasoning you need.
Hey, what do you say? This whole town could be red by the end of the day. If you feel alright, we can throw it and drive. With the radio up.
We're back, and what an invigorating show today has been. Between Mike and Sharon and their passion for membership and their passion for our party, that is just, it just oozes through to the screen. And Kevin Rinke just rocked out his visit here. He did a great job with expressing his views and his thoughts about, Senate and governor and Republican Party in Michigan. So that's been awesome. Before we go to, I want to make sure I again thank, I know I played some commercials on his behalf, but I want to again thank Jason Huntley from Premier Financial in Brighton, who is our major sponsor on this podcast. We appreciate his support. And, it's partly because of him that, you have these opportunities. We have some great shows coming. We have, I'm hoping, well, I would like to announce it tonight, but I haven't got any confirmation yet. So I got to hold off on next week. You have to watch the thing. But the 29th, I've got Rep. Posthumous, Brian Posthumous, who is the majority floor leader in the House. He has a ballot proposal about, you must be a citizen to vote. What a novel concept. He's going to come talk about that ballot proposal. By then, the Board of Canvassers would have certified or denied, and so we'll get to be updated on where we are on that signature process. And then same night we have Mike Rogers coming, who will talk about his Senate run, and I'm going to hold him hostage and make him get John Kennedy from Louisiana to pop in remotely on this podcast. So but anyway, we got some great stuff coming. I hope at the 26th at Zuki, don't forget that. For our fourth Thursday in May, our fourth Thursday is the Lincoln Day, so we're going to do a fifth Thursday that week. There's 5 Thursdays in May, and we're going to have that at we'll do a flyer for it, but that'll be at a Mexican restaurant in Heartland area. So we're trying to move it around the county a little bit. So this next one it'll be here in the Hamburg area at Zuki. So thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking through. Thanks for all the great questions. Every time a question comes up, it gets everybody thinking, right? And it gets the discussion going. So we appreciate your support. We appreciate you watching. My email is chair at Livingston Republicans with an S. Chair at livingstonrepublicans.com. Please send me your thoughts. You want somebody on here? You think about somebody on here? We got some more people that I'm lining up. May 20th, I have Senator Runstead coming to talk about Michigan Republican Party. So we got some good people coming, and I've gotten some inquiries that we're just setting up dates for other candidates and things. So stick with us, and if, like I said, there's something you wanna hear, or you wanna see, or you wanna hear from, let me know. Good night, everybody.